Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lower Speeds live class. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to start off with a finger dexterity drill. Okay, ready? Grain, sharp, drill. Black, shoot, threat. Drain, chair, bless. Skate, cross, cream. Spur, child, flush. Prompt, crack, sled. Crime, sport, plum. Spool, prune, slide. Glow, truck, splint. Glue, splice, blue. Pride, frail, cried. Slice, frame, spoke. Them, slip, crown. Spoon, crush, choose. Dry, stroll, plate. Chin, through, stuff. Pledge, wine, gloom. Crutch, skirt, stub. All right. Moving into a number drill. This is going to be locations with numbers. Here we go. Ready? Kansas, 743. Mississippi, 2,348. Merced, 906. South Platte, 442. Tennessee, 900. Trinity, 715. Smoky Hill, 560. Colorado, 1,450. Powder, 486. Minnesota, 682. Whitewater, 430. Ohio, 853. All right. Moving into a brief review. This is going to focus on company, remember, letter, today, open, could, what, when, which. And these are all from theory. All right, here we go. Ready? Could you mail the letter to the company? When did you open the store? I don't remember what he did with it. Today could be your lucky day. The company opened today. Which company are you going to choose? Do you remember which is which? I don't remember what he said in his letter. Could I go today when you get back? Does the company have an opening? I am no good at remembering names. All the letters are typed. When will there be an opening? Some companies want their letters emailed. Who designed your company letterhead for you? I remember what you must do today. Did you remember when to open the letters? The company mail could go when you leave today. When do you plan to join the company? All right. Moving on to our next drill, which focuses on different briefs. I'm going to read you the briefs, and then I will read you the sentences, okay? So we've got inspection, which is written either two ways, either IPGS or SPEBGS. So that's up to you, either inspection or IPGS. Is that correct? STHARK. Is that right? STHART. Interest, either initial TR or you can write it as TREFT. Into, NAO. Investigate, VEG. Veg would be VEJ. Investigator, VEGT. Involve, VOV. And then we have its, possessive, just ITS. And then we have the contraction its, which is initial T, final Z. All right, here are your sentences. The police had an inspection. You are Joe. Is that right? He was tall. Is that correct? Pay me back with interest. I am into jazz music. He was a private investigator. Please don't involve yourself. I think its leg is broken. It's my party. I'll cry if I want to. All right. Initial consonants that focus on the FR on the initial side. Here we go. Ready? A frame house has wooden framework. Frightened frogs are frisky. Free men get frantic about frame ups. Don't freeze French fries. Be frank when talking about francs in France. Don't fracture the fragile fragment. Fragrant odors are in France. Frankenstein lived in Frankfurt. A freebooter is a free thinker and sometimes has freckles. My frightened friend wore a frock with frills. The fraternity ate fresh freestone fruit. Frippery frocks with fringe are frivolous. Freezers are shipped as freight on freighters. Don't fret about frequent Fridays. Palm fronds and fruit don't like frost. A frigate can't sail on a freshet. Friars love French fried friars and fritters. The frogman frolicked in the freezing water. The frugal Franciscan was friendly. All right. Now, these are going to be frequently used words. I'm going to run through them more quickly than I would with a regular drill because they're used frequently. All right, here we go. Then, must, home, left, get, say, yet, now, man, out, she, how, has, her, day, any, make, back, most, year, old, let, arm, sat, came, work, down, more, cool, gave, time, cash, full, wash, need, part, same, made, find, them. All right, legal doublets. Here we go, ready? Alias writ, jury trial, life estate, pilot project, joint venture, grace period, joint tenancy, good faith, child custody, fee simple, third party, grand larceny, appeal notice, minor child, silent partner, class action, adverse party, clean hands, defective title, circuit court, expert witness, small claims, vesting power, third degree, public utilities, civil remedy, second degree, public entity, applicable law, and common law. All right. Our last drill is going to focus on developing vocabulary. All right, here are your sentences. It is a case of spring fever. You need fresh air and sunshine. Use snips to clip the wire. The offer is unrestricted. The garden needs landscaping. Use heavy-duty aluminum foil. The June designs must be here. Sell the painting at the auction. It offers unusual stability. Is there enough merchandise? The cottage has a thatched roof. Does the cat have a scratching post? How many are there in stock? The chair needs new paint. Use charcoal to start the fire. The sputum culture was positive. The coupon was stapled to it. That was the traditional method. We should install a new alarm. The tubing has worn out. The basic pricing system is low. The view is spectacular. The consoles will vary in size. Try to increase your speed. His stride is longer than mine. Buy a 5-piece luggage set. It offers protection and privacy. Will that plant grow indoors? Each lock comes with 2 keys. Is she still in isolation? The construction is built to last. Join the Winter Bowling League. The rebate check is for $500. Try a lighter shade of yellow. The material is water resistant. The trend is toward simplicity. All right. Now let's move into literary and jury charge. We're going to start with a narrative answer. I'm going to read this once at 60, again at 80, and again at 100. Okay, here we go. It was a truck. The guy stopped in front of the car, and the way he was positioned and the way I was, his headlights were going sort of like over the top, and there was nothing but a clear space, and I had to stay there. I thought he was going to get out and check the car and everything, and maybe grab the keys. He didn't do nothing. He just sat there for about, 30 seconds, and then he started backing up over the hill and went down over the other side. So when he was gone, I went back down to the car, got in, and then just, accelerated on up over the hill. And he had pulled back far enough where I could get onto Highway 99. I could see him. He had his car over on the white line marks, or over on the white line that marks the side of the road. You might say his tires were on dirt. All right. So you probably noticed that a lot of these sentences start with so and it just goes to show that witnesses may ramble, and there are times when reporters will have to start a sentence with a conjunction because it's the way that it's spoken, and that happens a lot when people ramble on. Okay, so let's do that again at 80. Here we go. It was a truck. The guy stopped in front of the car, and the way he was positioned and the way I was, his headlights were going sort of like over the top, and there was nothing but a clear space, and I had to stay there. I thought he was going to get out and check the car and everything, and maybe grab the keys. He didn't do nothing. He just sat there for about, 30 seconds, and then he started backing up over the hill and went down over the other side. So when he was gone, I went back down to the car, got in, and then just, accelerated on up over the hill. And he had pulled back far enough where I could get onto Highway 99. I could see him. He had his car over on the white line that marks the side of the road. You might say his tires were on dirt. All right, so that was at 80. So let's do it again at 100. Here we go. It was a truck. The guy stopped in front of the car, and the way he was positioned and the way I was, his headlights were going sort of like over the top, and there was nothing but a clear space, and I had to stay there. I thought he was going to get out and check the car and everything, and maybe grab the keys. He didn't do nothing. He just sat there for about, 30 seconds. And then he started backing up over the hill and went down over the other side. So when he was gone, I went back down to the car, got in, and then just, accelerated on up over the hill. And he had pulled back far enough where I could get onto Highway 99. I could see him. He had his car over on the white line that marks the side of the road. You might say his tires were on dirt. All right. Let's do some jury charge. I'm going to start this one at 60 and work my way to 100. Okay, it's one page. The subject is criminal. All right. Here we go. Insanity, as the expression is used in these instructions, means such a diseased and deranged condition of the mental faculties as to render the person incapable of distinguishing between right and wrong in relation to the act with which he is charged. An irresistible impulse to commit an act which a party knows to be wrong and unlawful does not constitute the sanity which is a legal defense. The standard of accountability is this: had the party sufficient mental capacity to appreciate the character and quality of the act? Did he know and understand that it was a violation of the rights of another and in itself wrong? Did he know that it was prohibited by the law of the land and that its commission would entail punishment and penalties upon him? If he had the capacity thus to appreciate the character and comprehend the possible or probable consequences of his act, he is responsible for the law for the act thus committed and to be judged accordingly. Although it is true, as you have been instructed, that generally the burden of proof is upon the prosecution. Yet to this rule, there is this exception where insanity is relied upon as a defense. The burden of proving the existence of such insanity is on the defendant, and it is incumbent upon him to establish by a preponderance of the evidence that he was insane at the time of committing the act that is charged, and the evidence of mental derangement must be such in amount that if the single issue of sanity or insanity of the defendant should be submitted to the jury in a civil case, they must find that he is insane. Insanity must be established by the greater weight of the evidence. This is what we refer to as the preponderance of evidence. All right. How are we doing on time? Good. All right, so I'm going to read to you this is a Sheriff's Department report that was read in court. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of this. I'm going to read this. I'll start at 80, and then we'll move into Q&A. All right, here we go. Assignment and arrival. On 3/29/2012, I was assigned to uniform patrol in the county area of Simi Valley. I was wearing a standard deputy sheriff Class A uniform, and I was driving a marked sheriff's patrol car. At approximately 8:23, I was dispatched to a confidential address in Simi Valley. Sheriff's dispatch advised me the victim, later identified as Julie Dash, had been assaulted by her husband, later identified as Connor Reed. I arrived at the confidential address at approximately 8:46. I exited my patrol car and was greeted at the front door by Dana Dash. Dana invited me into the residence. I walked into the living room area of the house and observed a female, later identified as the victim, Julie Dash, sitting on the couch with her hands over her face, crying. When Julie removed her hands from her face, I could see a small, bloody laceration on her left cheek. Victim contact, Dash, Julie. I spoke to Julie inside the living room area of the residence, and the following is what she told me. Julie told me that she has been married to Reed since 2/5/2012, and they both live in the same house together. At approximately 8:00, Reed became upset with Julie because she went to a friend's house the previous night. Reed was angry because she did not get approval from Reed to visit the friend. During the argument, Reed became so angry, he grabbed her by the throat and began choking her. After choking her, Reed punched Julie in the face. After choking and punching Julie Reed, or let me say that again. After choking and punching, Julie Reed walked out of the house. Medical treatment. Julie refused medical treatment at the incident location. I wanted to see if she would go to the doctor later that day, but she declined. All right, so we'll stop there for now. There is more. Now, I do have a drill for you. This is in the form of Q&A. So it's strictly Q&A. And I'm going to read this at 80. And what it does is it's got questions that are all over the board, so they don't follow any type of pattern, so it becomes a little bit more difficult, okay? All right, so we're gonna do one page of this. This will be at 80. Here we go, ready? May I have a glass of milk, please? Yes. Mr. Brown is very old, isn't he? He has got no teeth at all. Hurry up. Okay. This cube of ice is melting. I know. Do come in. Thank you. Do they sell any flowers in this store? No, sir. You don't smoke, do you? No, ma'am. What an incredible piece of news. I know. Did you have to finish this delicious bowl of soup? Absolutely. I'm afraid there is no butter. No. The cat is hungry. Can you give her some milk, please? I can't. You will have a plate of pasta. No, thank you. Sit down and open your books. We have. Come in and sit down. Thank you. I met your English friends last week. What nice people they are. I know. You can eat a slice of cheese if you want. Okay. How nice to see you again. Where have you been for the last 3 months? Hiking. Let's have lunch now. I'm not hungry. Never do that again. I won't. Don't go into this house. I know. They have no red socks in this store. What a bummer. Can I have some sugar, please? I don't have any. I like to spend holidays in this valley. The place is so quiet. It is boring. Let's not say a word. Why? Let's go to the beach. It is cold. Are there any buses to the square? I don't know. Get the dog vaccinated as soon as possible. I don't have money. Get out of the way. You get out of the way. Do you want some bread and butter? No, thank you. You aren't still hungry, are you? I'm stuffed. Do have a cup of tea. What kind? You haven't been to London, have you? No, I have never traveled. All right. So again, the words aren't the challenging part with this. It's more just the back and forth Q&A that they really don't follow a pattern. So you just are forced to write exactly what you hear. So that's why those are so important. And I've got more, so I'll give you more, in another class. Okay. We'll cover more of those. They're kind of fun too. You just don't even know what's going to be thrown at you, which is how it is, out in the field. You never know. Sometimes an attorney will ask a question and the witness may not hear the question correctly, and they may answer completely different from what you think they're going to say because they didn't really hear what was asked of them. So it's good to not be, to not anticipate what's coming your way and just write what you hear. So, okay, let's move into some Q&A, some actual Q&A from a transcript. This is going to be defense, and this is strictly Q&A from defense. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm just stating this so I know I've covered it in this class. I'm going to start at 60. I'm going to work my way to 100. Okay. All right, here we go. And it's 2 pages long. Here we go. What is your age at the present time? I am 60 years old. Do you recall when you took up residence with Mrs. Joyce Duncan, the deceased? When I took up residence with her? When did you start living with her in the same house? I couldn't say. I worked out there for Mrs. Watson, and I would go down there and stay at night because I lived so far. Did you start staying with her at night at a time when Mrs. Duncan was still employed? Yes, she was employed. And how long did you continue to stay in the house with her? I don't know what you mean. How long did you live with her before you moved out and moved next door? Oh, I lived with her about 6 or 7 years. And then you moved out? Yes. Did you move next door at that time? No, I had moved on Maxwell Road. And when did you return to live next door to Mrs. Duncan? Well, I don't know. I know the date, but I haven't got it with me. I don't know just the right date that I moved in. Do you remember what year that was? I don't know that. I've got it at home, but I don't recall. Was it after Mrs. Duncan had ceased working? When I moved, I think she was working. Now, with respect to the condition of Mrs. Duncan's health, I believe that you stated that on occasion she would pass out, have these so-called fainting spells. Yes, she did. Were you present on any of those occasions? Yes, I was. And I believe you stated that you gave her some ibuprofen. I did. Did you call a doctor? No, she never wanted me to call when she felt bad like that. And on these occasions, neither you nor Mrs. Duncan herself ever called the doctor. I took her to, we didn't call, but I took her to the doctor. Did you ever take her to the doctor immediately upon one of those occasions? No, she would come out of them in about 15 or 20 minutes. She would always come out of them. Now, you mentioned Mrs. Hoover. Who was Mrs. Hoover? Was she just a tenant there, renting a room from Mrs. Duncan? Yes, she was. And you stated that Mrs. Hoover and Mrs. Duncan's relationship fluctuated, that sometimes it was good and sometimes it was not good. Is that correct? That's correct. Is it true that Mrs. Hoover sometimes was a rather heavy drinker? Well, I don't know about that. She wasn't no heavy drinker, but she took a drink sometimes. And then drinking is one of the things that your sister disapproved of. Is that correct? My sister told her, if that's your life, that's your life. Now, with respect to, you stated, I believe, that Mr. and Mrs. Moore, the defendants, never had any close relationship with Mrs. Duncan. Is that correct? Well, who is Moore? The defendants in this case. You said that I stated that they didn't have a close relationship? No, I never said that. I didn't say that. I believe you testified that, to your knowledge, they didn't eat at her house or have any meals together. Yes, I did. Did they visit back and forth or go out for evenings together? Yes, I don't know how often, but I know they did. All right. Switching transcripts. This is going to be plaintiff questioning. I'm going to start here at 80 and work my way to 100. Okay. Here we go. Who did he tell you helped him? That would be Alan Wilson. Did Mr. Miller tell you what he was going to do with the cut up pole? Yes. What was he going to do with it? Take it to a metal recycler to recycle it for cash. Did Mr. Miller tell you if he thought the pole belonged to anybody? Yes. Who did he tell you the pole belonged to? Edison. He thought it belonged to Edison? What do you mean by Edison? Southern California Edison. Now, did Mr. Miller tell you he had permission to remove or take that pole from Southern California Edison? Yes, he told me. What did he tell you? He told me no, he did not. Did Mr. Miller tell you if he had permission to remove or take that pole from Union Pacific Railroad? Yes, he told me. What did he tell you? No, he did not have permission. Did Mr. Miller tell you if the pole belonged to him? Yes, he told me. What did he tell you? He said no, it was not his. Now, during the course of your investigation, did you also have an opportunity to interview Alan Wilson? Yes. Did you read Alan Wilson his Miranda rights prior to speaking with him? Yes. Did Alan Wilson indicate that he understood his rights and was willing to speak with you? Yes. What did Alan Wilson tell you about the cut up pole pieces that were found on the truck? He said that he was with Mr. Miller when they discovered the pole and when they cut it up and when they transported it from Mr. Miller's house. Did he tell you he helped Mr. Miller drag the pole to Mr. Miller's house? Yes. And you said that he helped Mr. Miller cut it up? Yes. Did Mr. Wilson tell you who he thought the pole belonged to? I'd have to refer to my report to be accurate. Would that refresh your recollection? Yes. Your Honor, may the witness refer to his report? Yes, you may. Thank you. Yes. What did Mr. Wilson tell you about who he thought the pole belonged to? Mr. Wilson told me that he believed it also belonged to Mr. Wilson. Or No, I'm sorry. He thought it belonged to Edison. Did Mr. Wilson tell you he had permission to take the pole from Southern California, Edison? Yes, he told me. What did he tell you? No, he did not. And did Mr. Wilson tell you if he had permission from Union Pacific Railroad to take the pole? Yes, he told me. What did he tell you? No, he did not. Did Mr. Wilson tell you if the pole belonged to him? Yes, he told me. What did he tell you? No. Did Mr. Wilson tell you what he was going to, why he was helping Mr. Wilson? I'm sorry. Did Mr. Wilson tell you why he was helping Mr. Miller? Yes. Why was that? To split the money that they were going to get from the recycler. I have no further questions. Okay, Mr. Mendoza, will you go first? I sure will. Thank you. Now, good morning, officer. Good morning, counsel. Now, when you talked to Mr. Wilson and Mr. Miller, was that April 8th, 2010? Yes. The day after Mr. Rundell, and I'm sorry, the day after you spoke to Mr. Rundell? The day after I spoke with Mr. Rundell. Didn't you speak to Mr. Rundell on April 7th? No. That was April 8th? Yes. Okay. Isn't it true that Mr. Rundell told you when he went to Mr. Miller's residence and observed the pole that was the pole in question that was cut up, that it was not hidden? Yes, it was in open view, correct? Yes. Did you observe the pole for yourself? Yes. Did you observe any markings on the pole that indicated that it belonged to Southern California Edison or Union Pacific Railroad? No. Did Mr. Rundell tell you whether these poles had markings on them that said property of Union Pacific Railroad or anything along those lines? Yes, he told me. What did he tell you? They were not stamped or marked. Is it fair to say it's a smooth metal pole? No. It's not smooth? No. Okay. What about the length? Did Mr. Rundell tell you that all Union Pacific metal poles are exactly 45 feet in length? No, he didn't tell me that. Who was it that told you that they're 45 feet in length? He never told me all Union Pacific poles are 45 feet. He told you that one particular pole was 45 feet in length? No. Where did you get the number 45 feet in length from? He told me specifically the poles for the positive train control system were 45 feet in length, custom made for the positive train control only. Okay, that concludes our lower speeds live class. Have a wonderful day.